My name is Anthony Ortega, and I did my capstone project on homeless veterans for my Christian ethics class. Homelessness has been an epidemic in the country for hundreds of years, but the homelessness of veterans has only been a major problem since the Vietnam War. After serving in wars like Vietnam, Korea, Grenada, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and Iraq, veterans are soon finding themselves on the streets with no food, home, clothing, or family to support them. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Veteran Affairs, and the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, there is an estimate of 49,993 homeless veterans in America, making up about 13% of the total homeless population in the country. Areas in the country where most homeless veterans reside are California, with about 15,000, Florida, with about 5,500, New York, with an estimate of 4,600, and Texas, with an estimate of 3,800. Studies have determined that several factors are responsible for putting veterans into the streets. Like other homeless people, veterans can be affected by the extreme shortages of affordable housing and livable income. But what most sets them aside from others is the post-traumatic stress disorder they can develop after completing their service. Post-traumatic stress disorder occurs when a person has been through a traumatic event. It is a chronic condition which triggers flashbacks from the traumatic event and intense physical and emotional reactions to it. For a soldier, this is very problematic because since the trauma was probably developed due to combat or an incident during the war, the reactions can be very violent and life-threatening to others. Because of this, veterans start to become estranged and detached from society. Family members and friends start to view them as being crazy or delusional. Many fall victim to substance abuse and wrongly use the drugs which are supposed to help them with treatment. It also puts them at a disadvantage when competing with others for work, leaving them jobless and with no source of income. TBI. One of the most common injuries found in almost every soldier that returns from combat is traumatic brain injury, or TBI. TBI occurs when someone receives an blow or jolt to the head. TBI can result in a change of consciousness and disorientation. Since military members are deployed into areas where they will come into contact with IEDs, suicide bombers, landmines, grenades, and etc., it is very possible for them to get TBI. Young men in the military between the ages of 18 to 24 are most at risk for TBI. Other symptoms can vary from sleep disorders, memory loss, and depression. This can lead to long-term physical and mental problems, such would not only affect the soldier, but also the relationships he and she has with family and friends. TBI can be difficult to diagnose due to the fact that there's not always a seeable head injury, and if there is, it is usually added to the list of other injuries the soldier may have had from combat. Demographics. As you can see from this picture, there are several statistics that outline the homeless veteran population. Roughly 56% of all homeless veterans are African American or Hispanic. Veterans have low marriage rates and high divorce rates, so 1 in every 5 veterans are living alone. About 8% of all homeless veterans are female. About 51% of all individual homeless veterans have a disability, either physical or mental. About 9% are from the ages of 18 to 30, and 41% of them are between 31 and 50 years old. There are about 1.4 million veterans that are at risk of homelessness. There is an estimate that about 50% of all homeless veterans have a serious mental illness. Efforts. Various organizations like the Department of Veteran Affairs and the Department of Housing and Urban Development assist in providing various services to veterans in need or on the verge of needing help. Both departments participate in a joint supportive housing program called the HUD-VASH. The program has provided for a number of positive outcomes for the veterans, such as an increase of housing, increasement of employment, and a number of networks for the veterans to contact if they are in need of help. Then in 2012, the VA introduced a new program called the Supportive Services for Veteran Families, or the SSVF, which is directed toward the rehousing of homeless veterans and the prevention of veterans and their families from being homeless. In the first 2 years, the SSVF has succeeded in aiding over 100,000 people in over 61,000 households. Though the VA does try to assist veterans in any way possible, the department can only do so much. In 2009, the VA had served more than 92,000 veterans, with an estimate of about 500,000 homeless veterans accounted that year. The VA was only able to reach 20% of those needing assistance. Because of the overwhelming number of veterans in need of help, the VA has asked assistance from state organizations such as the California Veterans Assistance Foundation and the Support of Homeless Veterans, Inc. In 2009, the VA Secretary Eric Shinseki, along with President Obama, set a goal of ending veteran homelessness by 2015. To help ensure this goal, in June 2014, Michelle Obama announced that the Mayor's Challenge to end veteran homelessness. So far, 335 mayors, 7 governors, and 112 county and city officials have pledged to end veteran homelessness in their communities, and in 2015, New Orleans became the first major city to announce that it had ended veteran homelessness. Now, I will read to you a personal account from a former homeless veteran who had received help from the CVAF. Hello, my name is David C., a United States Marine Corps veteran and current resident of the CVAF. I am so grateful to the CVAF and to the services they provide veterans. This program has helped me get my life back on track. Currently, I am fulfilling a dream of becoming a certified drug and alcohol counselor for California. In addition, I am set up with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, where I plan to further my education and obtain my AA degree. This for me is a miracle. Only a year ago, I was homeless. My goal in the future is to help other homeless veterans with substance abuse problems get back on their feet. My socio-ethical perspective. I have personal experience with the military since my uncle and my cousin have served in Iraq during 2008. I can't say that they've experienced homelessness, but I can say that adjusting to life back in New Jersey took them a little time. Knowing the fact that someone so close to home was in jeopardy of losing track of his life was really scary for me. What tends to happen when soldiers come back from war is that they are praised and honored by family and friends for the service they performed, but then afterward go back to being everyday citizens and having to live with the scars of war. If a passerby were to see a homeless veteran on the street, he or she would not think much of it and categorize them as just another homeless person. That generalization that all homeless people are the same is a form of ignorance due to them not experiencing the same conditions. If that same passerby were to have an actual conversation with the veteran and learn about his experiences, he or she would think differently before generalizing him. Homelessness in general has become such a common condition in society that we don't think too much about it unless it starts to directly affect us. We dehumanize the homeless we see by having this precomposed idea of it's not my problem, these people are probably homeless because of their own actions. This is especially unjust due to the fact that the veterans who voluntarily risk their lives to protect us are being tossed to the side by society. What we definitely need is a social change where the perspectives people have on the homeless are changed for the better. I view homeless people as being less fortunate than me, but I don't think of them as less human than me. A system that we as a society can set up is to create a list of the number of veterans per community. Here's an example. I live in the town of Bloomfield, so every veteran that resides in Bloomfield should be accounted for. Once all the veterans are accounted for in each community, local organizations like the CVAF and SHBI should reach out to them, providing information on how they were able to assist those veterans if they are ever in need of help economically or socially. The local organizations can ask the government of that town to send over young volunteers who need to complete service requirements, even if they don't have personal connections to veterans. Now, with the knowledge you have now obtained from viewing this presentation, I want you to formulate your own reasoning as to why veterans are homeless. Do you think homeless veterans are homeless due to their own actions? Are they oppressed by an unjust and uncaring society? Or are they all just very unlucky? I want you to form a socio-ethical perspective as to why. Thank you for watching my presentation.